What's up, guys? Welcome to the Talking Pigskin Week 15 edition. As always, I'm your host, Keshwar, and I guess it's safe to say that my beloved Jets, their season came to an abrupt halt last week. Yes, one of those losses that I didn't really react much, only because Josh McCown went down early in that game with a broken left hand. Even though I said they were my lock of the week last week, and I was feeling very confident they will be able to pull it off. Unfortunately, without McCown, this team is not much. I'm sure Todd Bowles feels validated, and for sticking to his point that Petty and Hackenberg are just clearly not ready to take over this team, and it was very evident the minute McCown went down. The Jets couldn't score a point. They couldn't get in field goal range, so 100 yards on total offense, that's not going to be good for against any team. So, it is what it is. And again, we overachieved as a team this year at 5-8. Can't ask for anything more than that. This team probably might finish 5-11 because I don't see them beating any of the three teams that we have lined up coming the Jets' way. So, it is what it is. Not upset at all, actually. Just gotta, come to terms with it. That season has come to an end. Let's start with the Thursday night game tomorrow night. We have the Denver Broncos taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Not a very exciting game for obvious reasons. Both teams had a disappointing season. I think Colts with Jacoby Brissett at home have a better advantage than Trevor Siemian traveling with the Broncos, even though Broncos defense showed up last week. Broncos offense was relatively average, and I think Colts at home can actually win a game. What a game in Buffalo last week with the Colts and Bills, though, with the snow. It was fun to watch, but a heartbreaker for Colts, and I'm going to pick them to win tomorrow night. Moving on to Saturday's game, sorry. So there are two games this Saturday, one at 4:30 and one at 8 o'clock at night, both on NFL Network. And the first game is the Chicago Bears taking on the Detroit Lions. The Bears, with Trubisky, finally, last week I clamored for Trubisky to finally show me something and show the Bears fans something. And he did have a very good game. He threw for over 200 yards and upset the Bengals on the road. Very good for him. However, going to Detroit to take on the Lions team, who's very much alive on the playoff hunt, I think Stafford will be ready to go at home, and he will not take it easy on this Bears defense, even though Bears defense has been playing well. I think Marvin Jones, Golden Tate will take the Lions to another victory and keep them alive. And then the Saturday night game, we have the LA Chargers traveling to the Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs finally broke out of their slump last week. Alex Smith steadied the ship on the offense. The Chiefs jumped on a 26-0 lead against Oakland. It got a little close in fourth quarter, but they were able to pull it off. I think with Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen company coming to Arrowhead with Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa, those two scary edge rushers coming to town, this is going to be the toughest test the Chiefs have all year long, and I think they don't live up to it. I think the Chargers are on a roll right now, and they cannot be stopped. I'm going to pick the Chargers on the road to win this game. Moving on to Sunday's games, and the very first game we have is the New York Jets taking on the New Orleans Saints. Now, coming off a loss against the Falcons last Thursday night, the Saints will be ready to go to brush off that loss. I think Alvin Kamara will be good to go as well. Drew Brees didn't have good words about Thursday night games after the game last week. I'm pretty sure he's pissed off what happened, and I think he will take out all frustration on the lowly Jets, which the Bryce Petty era, I guess, once again will start for the next 3 games, and I don't think the Jets will do anything. Granted, Petty and Anderson have a good rapport on the offensive side, but I just don't see anything from the Jets this Sunday. I think this will be a blowout. I believe Saints are favored by 15 points, and I think they will cover. Moving on to Miami Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Not sure what the weather conditions will be there this weekend. However, gotta give it to Jay Cutler. Last week, I didn't go into any detail about Monday Night Football because Patriots were playing the Dolphins. However, Jay Cutler showed up to play and shut all of us up. He turned on Brady very fast, and Patriots just couldn't keep it going with him. So, coming off a good performance like that, I'm not sure if he can follow that up because it is Jay Cutler at the end of the day. And in the cold, I don't think he's going to do well. With Buffalo, not sure who's starting at quarterback, Tyrod Taylor or Nate Peterman, or even Joe Webb, who actually finished the game for them last week. So, depending on that, we'll pick the Bills, but Dolphins probably going to win this game on the road. Moving on to Green Bay Packers taking on the Carolina Panthers in Carolina, and this marks the return of the great quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Now, all of you know how much of a big fan I am of this guy. Coming off a broken collarbone injury, this is going to be a very tough road ahead for him. These next 3 games are a must-win for Green Bay to make the playoffs, and or even to keep stay alive in the hunt. Extremely difficult games ahead, but when you have number 12 back there, just like Brady, and here with Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers will have a shot in any game. Against the Panthers defense, who will be tough. Cam Newton did all right against Minnesota last week. I expect him to do well against Packers D. I think this will be a close game, somewhere in the 30s, but I expect the bad man Aaron Rodgers to pull this off. Moving on to Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Browns almost sniffed a victory last week. Almost had it, but gotta be quicker than that, just like the commercial says. Baltimore coming off that brutal loss against Pittsburgh. It was a shootout. I didn't expect Baltimore offense to keep up with Pittsburgh offense like that. Joe Flacco showed up a little bit. Hopefully he can continue that. But in Cleveland, he'll be all right. I think Buffalo wins it easily. Moving on to Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Big signature win by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was wrong about them. I thought they would lose to the Seattle Seahawks, but definitely the defense showed up to play, kept Russell Wilson in check most of the game. Yeah, it got close at the end, but I think they played a great game. Blake Bortles hasn't been bad the last few weeks. Hopefully he can keep it going against the Texans team that really has nothing to play for anymore. Tom Savage had a scary injury. Not sure why he'll be starting. I think TJ Yates should get the start. DeAndre Hopkins, another great year for him. Too bad it's going to go to waste. Hopefully Texans can bounce back next year with Watson, but in this game I think Jaguars will run all over them. Moving on to Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Minnesota Vikings. At this point, I don't even know if it's A.J. McCarron starting or they're going to keep Andy Dalton at quarterback. What a disappointing year for Cincinnati, even though I predicted this would happen without a stable O-line. But I didn't expect Andy Dalton to drop off this bad. I think he's struggling mightily, and I think he needs to get it together. This is not the Dalton we expected to see, and hopefully next year will be different. As for the Vikings, coming off a loss at the Panthers, I think this defense will be ready to go at home and take out all their anger on this poor Bengals O-line. I think Andy Dalton will be in for a long day if he's starting, but Viking offense, Case Keenum is rolling as well, so I'm going to go with the Vikings at home. Moving on to Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New York Giants. What a heartbreaker for Eagles fans. Losing Carson Wentz will be a huge blow. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl now, obviously, but I think they'll still win a playoff game. I think Nick Foles is capable enough to get them to one playoff victory at home. I'm not sure what's going to happen then in the title game should they advance, but it sucks. As an Eagle fan, I'm talking about Eagles fans. This was their year. Everything was going right for them. It looked promising from the start, and then unfortunately this happens. Tough blow. But I'm still going to take them to beat the Giants. I mean, Eli came back last week and he didn't do anything, so oh well. Moving on to Arizona Cardinals taking on the Washington Redskins. Both teams are pretty much dead in the water right now. Blaine Gabbert versus Kirk Cousins. Easily take Kirk Cousins on that. I don't trust Cardinals defense to travel well on the road anyway, so easy game. Redskins win. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games, we have the LA Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. This is in Seattle. I'm going to give the edge to Seattle only because at home they're almost impossible to beat, and I don't expect Jared Goff to go up there and keep up with Russell Wilson. Even though the defense hasn't been coming up with the stats, but they have been playing well. I'm talking about the Rams here and Seahawks defense. I thought there would be a slight drop-off, which there is with all those injuries, but they're still keeping every game close, so that helps out Russell Wilson immensely, picking the Seahawks to win that game. Moving on to Tennessee Titans, traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo has been great the last 2 weeks. Hopefully he'll be able to continue it. At home against the Titans, a team that looked good beginning of the year, but kind of started looking rocky. I don't expect them to pull it off in San Francisco. I think Jimmy Garoppolo continues his role and takes down the Titans this week. Moving on to the game of the week, I guess. New England Patriots traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. This will be a great game. This will be a shootout. However, I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this game only because I just don't remember the last time they lost 2 straight. It's been a while, and Pittsburgh is coming off a huge win against Baltimore on Sunday night. I think they're due for a meltdown. I hope it's still a good game, but I don't expect Pittsburgh to win, pull it off. New England wins, and they'll probably lock up home field with that win too. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Oakland Raiders. What a disappointing season for the Raiders and their fans. Only one more year left in Oakland. Hopefully they can turn it around next week. Beast Mode came back. I thought it would have a better year, but the Raiders offense just didn't click up to par. Raider defense is very average outside of Khalil Mack, and as we saw that. With Cowboys, this is the last game without Zeke. Somehow Dak Prescott has to make sure he doesn't make any dumb mistakes and just keeps doing what he has been doing all year, all these last 5 games long, which is to air it out because there is no running game back there. Rod Smith did have a good game, but use Dez, use Cole Beasley, use Jason Witten, make this an aerial assault, and I think Cowboys will win this game. Moving on to Monday Night Football, we have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another disappointing team. I feel like I used the word disappointing multiple times in this segment because so mhave had so many promises coming into the season, and they just failed miserably. And Tampa Bay is one of them with Jameis Winston as quarterback. They should have had a better year, but at 4-9, they're pretty much done for the year. Not sure how hard the players are going to play. The Falcons are fighting for their playoff lives. They know how competitive that last wildcard spot will be. I am picking them to win this game on the road. Julio Jones needs to step up and put this game away early. Matt Ryan cannot have a 3-interception game again. He needs to know that. I'm going to trust the Falcons here. I'm going to pick them as a lock of the week. And that does it for all the games. Now let's look for an upset. And I guess I will go with the Green Bay Packers at Carolina Panthers only because Panthers are favored by 3 points. It's not much of an upset, but with all these games this week, that's the best one I can give you. So hopefully you guys will like these picks. Let me know what you think of them. Comment, like, subscribe, share this video. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next week for Week 16 picks. Thank you. Good night.